The 49ers got a big win against the New England Patriots. We're going to talk about what they did in this game, what we can pull from this game, how that helps them moving forward. And of course, everything you've got to say in this game, let me know in the chat. We'll have a fun conversation about it. All that and more in this episode of 49ers Cutback.
From the alley-oops at Keysar to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way. From off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback podcast time. Welcome to the show, everyone. 49ers get the win, and that's exactly what we needed to happen. 49er fans clamoring for a big win by the 49ers, and they took care of business against the Patriots. And I don't think it was tremendously shocking that the 49ers got a big victory. I had predicted a 17-point victory for the 49ers. I went with 27-10. So Patriots get the extra field goal, 49ers get the extra field goal. I'm never disappointed when the 49ers score at least 30 points in a football game. And we've got key contributors for the 49ers on offensive defense making big-time plays. Fred Warner. And I got to talk about All-Pro Fred for a little bit, and I don't know what's going to come of the ankle injury. It doesn't appear to be too grave. The fact that he's out on the field, he stayed on the sidelines, geared up just in case. He looked like he was moving pretty well as he was walking off the field as well. And, of course, that's just going ahead and just looking at what he is doing with his legs and how he's moving. So I'm hoping that he's going to be okay. But that interception at pick six was so huge in this football game. San Francisco 49ers struggling a little bit to get into the end zone. Two offensive opportunities they should have had touchdowns, and they settle for field goals. Yet here comes Fred Warner making a big play, proving why he's an all-pro. And he not just makes the interception, which you got to be a phenomenal athlete to do, the hand-eye coordination to do it, but then to get up and be able to get to the end zone. And I got to give a lot of credit to his teammates as well. You had Nick Bosa, Charvarius Ward. These are all pro caliber players down the field blocking, full effort on display for this 49ers defense. Fred Warner is just special. Absolutely love Fred Warner. And David V says, hashtag TCC, let's go. It was a big win. And, that's exactly what the 49ers need to come out and do, was answer the bell. Whether you're a better football team than New England Patriots or not, you have to go out there and execute, and you have to play really well. I thought there were moments the 49ers played really well. I thought there were still some things they need to clean up, put the ball a little bit too much in harm's way, whether that was Jordan Mason dropping two footballs that could have been turnovers. Luckily for the 49ers, he was able to get back on them. Those are things that definitely got to get cleaned up. And then Brock Purdy, that was definitely not a great pass. I don't think he saw Jabril Peppers, and he throws the interception. So was it a clean game? No. Was it a game that the 49ers can build upon? Absolutely. And you just got to win, right? You just got to go out there and get those wins and make sure you're getting better and executing a little bit better. Now that defense kind of rounded into form, and you had certain things, certain benchmarks you had to reach. You had to come out and complete certain tasks if you were going to beat the Patriots. I thought the 49ers did a pretty good job in that. So overall, I was really excited with the way that they played. I would like to ask you guys all to please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. If you're listening on audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe, please give it a 5-star rating. And if you're going to bet with Bet Online. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for everything football. Bet Online is every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. You think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet Online. The game starts here. And so here we go. David V, using his membership capabilities to leave a super chat. He says, always do. I love having David V in the house, one of the OGs of 49ers Cutback, and thanks so much for coming through. 49ers always find a way to get it done. David V always finds a way to get into the house. And what's up, Lou? How's it going? Lou Ramos says best Niners news and updates in here on 49ers Cutback. Thank you so much, Lou. I really, really appreciate it. And that's my guy, Get 'em Boy. So how's it going? I love the work that you do. If you guys follow, Get 'em Boy on Twitter, you're going to find a lot of really cool graphics and things. So go check that out if you haven't already. But let's talk about this game a little bit, because the 49ers had to come out and they had to stop the New England Patriots running game. 49ers have been leaking oil over the last couple of weeks, stopping the run games. You look at Minnesota Vikings, Ty Chandler had a lot of success running the ball down the stretch on the 49ers defensive line. And then you're going to be without Javon Hargrave. So how are you going to look after Minnesota got a run game going, the Rams got a run game going? What were you going to do against a Patriots team that was averaging 144 yards per game? Could you figure it out? The answer is yes. Number one, Malik Collins played really, really good in this football team. I love the fact that they used Jordan Elliott, and we'll see what happens with his injury. That was upsetting that he was hurt. I thought he was playing really good. But those guys were stifling the run, and then they were doing what we always thought they were going to do and bringing in Yetur Gross-Matos and rush on obvious pass downs. I thought that was a huge, really shot in the arm for this 49ers defensive line, and I thought it kind of permeated through the entire group. They were all getting after the quarterback, and we'll talk about that in a second as well. But you had to stop Ramondre Stevenson, and the 49ers did slow him down. He had 13 carries for 43 yards, just a 3.3 yard average. You had to get it done there. You look at the other backs. JaMychal Hasty had 3 for 15. Antonio Gibson, 6 for 12. Overall, they ran the ball 24 times for 73 yards. This was a return to form from what the 49ers did in week 1 when it came to stopping the run. And remember, this is a 49ers defense that's without Fred Warner for a full half. So that's Demetrius Flanagan fouls, right? That's others. Devondre Campbell, D. Winters, I seen him chip in a little bit. I don't know exactly how healthy he is, but he chipped in. Tatum Bethune getting out there. The fact that they were able to slow down the run game in New England just made everything easier for this 49ers defense. Of course, they're really effective when it came to shutting down the pass too. You had Jacoby Brissett going 19 of 32 for 168 yards, and a lot of that was on that one pass to Antonio Gibson, over 40 yards on that play. So, I mean, really, the 49ers were effective in both areas, stopping the run and being able to get after the quarterback in Jacoby Brissett. So that's really good. And Kidlow says, wish Kyle would start running the ball more on third and short. Probably my only complaint behind the obvious injuries in special teams. Yeah, unfortunately, injuries are pretty much ravaging the entire league. This is the ultimate war of attrition in 2024. Who's going to be left standing at the end, I think, is going to be a big question. And I think everyone wants Kyle to run the ball more on third down. And I think part of the problem for Kyle is he does things like last week against the Rams, where he runs the ball on third down and he gets stopped, and it makes him kind of come back a little bit. I think that with Christian McCaffrey, maybe that'll increase a little bit. He trusts McCaffrey to get the football. So we'll see. But I think that's a normal thought process from Kid here. I think that you can question third and shorts. I know I love running the football, and I know a lot of people do. But yeah, special teams, I thought overall game plan wise, it was a lot better than we've seen from Brian Schneider so far, but you still get a turnover. When it comes to over this time, they're not letting him keep his confidence. They're not worried about that. Debo, get back there. Patrick Taylor, get back there. We're not allowing that to happen again. So I thought that was really good. And Kid says, Bosa played up to the standard today. Really good game from Bosa. Fantastic game from Bosa. Nick Bosa was consistently putting pressure off the edge, and he didn't need stunts. He got some, and they were successful on those. But it was consistent pressure to where Jacoby Brissett was stepping up in the pocket. He was moving in the pocket. He just never felt comfortable. And even though those plays didn't translate into sacks early, it was inevitable. And Bosa made some big-time plays in this game. Finally gets the strip sack at the end to close it down. I love that for Nick Bosa, but he played his butt off in this one. And there was a couple of plays he was fighting through chip block, fighting through a double team and still almost getting home to Jacoby Brissett. I thought Nick Bosa looked really good. And then David V brings up Sambo. So Sam Okawanu really had another really good game. Last week he played well. This week he capitalized on opportunities. And the thing is with Sam Okawanu, he's now officially on this 53-man roster. He was promoted from the practice squad. So they like what they're getting from him, and making plays like he did in this game is going to keep them invested in him because he did a really good job. That play came off the edge, and he was able to grab the football and rip it away. That was a huge turnover early in this game. 49ers get 3 points out of it. Wish it could have been 7, but that's exactly what you need. Okawani was putting pressure, and that's what you need. So, yeah, that was a big one. And what's up to my guy, Phil? He says, hashtag TCC. Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it. What's up, David Campbell? David says, hey, all, I know there's a few games to go still this week, but I think there's a good chance Mason could be the league's leading rusher after this week. Yeah, it's possible. And, he had a really good game. Jordan Mason, 24 carries, 123 yards. He eclipsed that 100-yard mark on that last run. And bravo to him, working back to the inside, staying in bounds. That was a really good run. Jordan Mason earned his yards today, 24 carries for 123 yards, a 5.1 yard per carry average, the 1 touchdown. And he really should have had a passing touchdown as well. What a great catch. Great run after the catch. That was an absolute terrible call by the referee on George Kittle's holding. There's no holding there. That is a great block by every stretch of the imagination. If I was coaching high school, I would be showing those kids exactly, hey, look, this is a great block by a tight end, and this is being unselfish and putting yourself in a great position to be successful. He did it exactly right. That referee was awful on that play, and unfortunately, there was a lot of really bad, questionable calls in this game, and not just all against the 49ers. I thought there was even bad calls against the Patriots. Overall, just a really dreadful crew that the 49ers had today. The NFL needs to examine it. The fact Roger Goodell's there, they've got to fix some of these referee calls. It's been getting pretty ridiculous. They are just not paying attention to what they're supposed to. They're getting themselves involved in games instead of being there to manage the games. And that's not what you want. You see too much referee, and it's a problem. I don't want to see referees. I want to see the players on the field making plays, and I think the referees are getting too involved in football games, and that's not good. You look at Debo, he had 2 carries for 14 yards. I think that was a perfect sprinkle in him out. It was good to start the game that way. And then Brock, of course, 5 for 11, having to scramble sometimes. Grendo had 1 carry for 0 yards, and really there was nothing on that play for him. But overall, the 49ers ran the ball 32 times for 148 yards at 4.6 yards per rush. Pretty successful day for the 49ers running the football. What's up, Hugo? How's it going? He says, what's up, TCC? Special teams is a huge concern. Love Juice, but we can't have them back. Might as well have Kenton Balmer back there. Nice pull with the Kenton Balmer. Yeah, I mean, I think Kyle Juszczyk today was the emergency punt returner. He handles punt returns a lot at practice. He goes through reps every single day. But this is one of those things when you don't have Ronnie Bell active, right? That was part of the reason they had Ronnie Bell as one of the active players week in and week out, is in case you needed that second punt returner. And so Jacob Cowing was dealing with a shoulder injury. And so Kyle Juszczyk, he's going to secure the catch. He's going to do a good job with it. I'm sure Kyle Shanahan would have loved for Kyle Juszczyk to go ahead and fair catch that and not risk injury. But he got the catch, secured it great, squared it up nice, got the 5 yards. Is that a long-term answer for the 49ers? No. But I think this thing is going to get answered here in the next few weeks because Jacob Cowing is going to still be your punt returner for the future as long as he's not hurt. But also Ricky Pearsall could back him up in a pinch. Then you don't have to worry about Kyle Juszczyk. So Pearsall, you think Cowing squares him up good? Ricky Pearsall is even more comfortable and more fluid at squaring those plays up. So, yeah, I mean, it was always interesting seeing Juszczyk back there. I know he got a real kick out of it, and so that was pretty fun. David says, no PI on Lenore either. Refs had a rough game. That was a bad call. Diamond Lenore is in perfect position. Both of those, the receiver and corner, are in contact with each other. He did nothing to cause that wide receiver to not have an opportunity to catch the football. He's playing it just how you're supposed to. He's playing the sideline as a second defender. He turned back when he was supposed to, played the ball, it's textbook. I don't know how you teach it differently in that type of situation. The referee did not see what he thought he saw, and that's a bad call. And these are the things that they need to definitely get better at, because these could change games if it's in a different scenario. In this game, it didn't matter. 49ers were in complete control. But in another game, imagine if it's a 3-point game. Things change, and all of a sudden the Patriots have an opportunity, and that's not what you're looking for. So, yeah, those things are tough for a defense having those bad calls. And how about the offense, too? You had the touchdown to Kyle Juszczyk, Brock Purdy creating outside the pocket, gets him with the touchdown. That gets called back. You had the one to Jordan Mason, that gets called back. And then he finds George Kittle, and George Kittle just made one of the great catches. There was 2 catches, actually 3 now that I think about it, that were just phenomenal in this football game. You had the George Kittle going up over 3 guys in the end zone, getting that play. That was a great catch. You had the Juwan Jennings deep vertical down the field where he stretches out and makes a catch. I mean, great throw by Brock, but even a better catch by Juwan Jennings. And then Brandon Ayuk catches the one skimming along the ground to get a first down. Those are just 3 catches off the top of my head that were absolutely fantastic. Now, Brock's given them opportunities, but those guys went out there and made some big catches. Those were really huge in this football game. David Campbell says, Sam O looked nice at defensive line replacement. Dude has some game. So I liked the look of the times that Sam Okawanu came in, but I loved the move of Yetur Gross-Matos inside too. I felt like it gave the 49ers more versatility. Malik Collins, I mean, that move he made, it's like the hump move that Reggie White used to use. I mean, he went inside and then used all his body weight to throw that guy to the side. You give one-on-ones to 49ers defensive line, and in this game they were winning. I liked the consistent pressure. And I thought Sam Okawanu was a big part of that. He had the strip fumble, but he also had times he was getting after the quarterback and putting pressure on the quarterback. Huge. He's been a solid addition right now, and they definitely needed him in this football game. And they need him moving forward. Robert Beal Jr. got a little bit of time in this game. I don't think he looks bad, but right now, I think Okawanu is a better defensive end, and he's being able to put pressure. He's able to help in the run game. There's another play. Okawanu gets up the field vertically and blows up the run play on a toss. It's really, really good football right now for Sam Okawanu. Hey, let's ride the hot hand, right? Make him a part of this rotation, and you need that extra guy now with Gross-Matos getting obvious pass downs on the inside. Hugo says, any word on Greenlaw? Haven't heard much of anything. Is it week 8 to open up the practice window? I think that's the most likely. We haven't heard any more updates on Dre Greenlaw. They kind of mentioned today, just a little bit in passing, that he was going to start. I think this is Greg Olson that said he was going to start kind of working things up, kind of ramping it up a little bit. So my expectation would be, just like we thought before, week 8, maybe coming out of the bye, they kind of get this thing rolling. And we're talking about late November potentially for Dre Greenlaw. 49ers want to win some football games until they get there, but no real new information, at least from John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan as of right now. And David V says, Purdy had 3 TDs in one drive. I mean, that's what it was, right? He was executing at a high level, and he did it 3 different ways. You had the first one to Jordan Mason across the middle, which is just a great find from the pocket. You had the one where he scrambled some more and found Juszczyk in the end zone. That was number 2. And then he throws from the pocket under pressure and duress ball right where it had to be. And we got to give credit to Kittle. George Kittle went up and high pointed that ball and got down and got an elbow in and stayed in bounds. And that's triple coverage. Fantastic play by George Kittle. Was really, really good. So, yeah, that was some good stuff from Purdy and the 49ers. Phil says refs should be full-time employees. I agree. I know that they do their other stuff on the side. Some of them are teachers, principals, lawyers, whatever. But, I mean, there's got to be some sort of oversight. And whether that's make them full-time or have an oversight at the games. We've seen the UFL do this now. The XFL kind of started it where you had an eye in the sky. I think they need to do that. And I know they have a command center with New York. They don't get near as involved in football games. I think they should. There are plays that get by every single time that shouldn't get by. They should overturn penalties. They should overturn turnovers. They should really just clean up the game. Referees are going to make mistakes. We understand that, but why should we have to live with the mistakes that they make? If they make one, hey, no harm, no foul. Overturn the call and you just move on. I think they really need to get to that. It's a little frustrating right now. And I don't think the refereeing has been very good this season. There's no consistency. That's my biggest argument with referees, is less about what they're calling and more so that from crew to crew, you don't get the same consistency. One calls pass interference completely different than the next. One calls offensive holding completely different than the next. So as a player, and especially like a young player, how do you learn what you're allowed to do and what you're not if there's no consistency? And I think that's a real problem for the NFL right now. David Campbell says, do you think Juice should be targeted more? It looks like a natural at catching the football. I think it's always a goal to get Kyle Juszczyk the football. You know, and I think there can be more opportunities here and there for him depending on matchup. And I think a lot of times it depends on what looks you're trying to get. I did think the 49ers were going to run a little bit more 11 personnel in this game, just seeing some of the matchups that worked out in the run game for the 49ers against New England. So I thought there was a chance we could see more Jauan Jennings, Debo, and Ayuk on the field compared to the normal 21 and 12 personnel, but particularly 21, where you get Juice out there. So I think there's still going to be opportunities. There's times I look at him and I'm like, man, we could use this guy the way that the 49ers and Bill Walsh used to use Tom Rathman. But, you know, they've got a lot of weapons in different places. But at some point, you know, he's going to have to make some big-time plays for you. And he's definitely capable. But he is a natural catcher of the football. He does things that normal fullbacks can't do, right? He can get yards after the catch. He can make spectacular catches. He can make catches along the sidelines, dragging his feet. I mean, Kyle Juszczyk really is a guy that has the ability to do it all. Now, Brock Purdy in this game, 15 of 27, not his most accurate football game that he's had, but he did take some shots. His average pass play went for 10.7 yards per attempt. He had one touchdown. Of course, he has the one bad interception, and he had one sack of 5 yards. And I think that sack should either be on the coverage, you know, on the receivers for not getting open, or it should be on Brock Purdy for holding on the football. That was not on the offensive line. Now, the offensive line made Brock Purdy get rid of the football, made him scramble. So there's plenty of times where the offensive line maybe didn't live up to the full expectations. But I thought they did a pretty good job for the most part in protection, and gave Brock Purdy the time to be able to go down the field with some of these deeper vertical passes. And as this season progresses and the 49ers are willing to take those shots down the field, defenses are going to have to lighten up a little bit. They're not going to be able to sit over the middle of the field. This is the difference between Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo. Brock Purdy has able to make those passes 20 and 25 and 30 yards down the field consistently. So that way safeties can't just sit on your dig routes. So what's going to happen? That play that Ayuk made, the 38-yard catch on the dig route across the middle of the field, those things are going to start getting more open, because now you're going to put safeties in vertical stretches, and they're going to have to determine, do I go deep with Jauan Jennings? Brock will throw it, or do I stay underneath on Brandon Ayuk? And so you're going to start getting some opportunities for those deep crossers again because of Brock Purdy's willingness to throw the ball down the field on those vertical plays. And he's throwing one-on-one coverage, and it didn't matter who it was, right? He took the shot to Debo, great play down the middle of the field. He actually underthrew Debo a little bit. Debo might have been gone for a touchdown, but that was a great throw. Overall, you get it to the guy, right? Debo makes the play. He even threw one to Chris Conley, and it didn't work out, but willingness to spread the ball around and take shots at other players on verticals and not just certain guys means defenses have to respect everyone. And that's a key for the 49ers. So I thought Brock Purdy did pretty good in this game. It wasn't his best game, but it was still pretty darn good. And Jauan Jennings continued to have a good day. 3 catches, 88 yards, almost 30 yards per catch. He was at 29.3, including that 45-yard bomb where if the defender, Jones, isn't twisting around and his legs get caught up in Jauan Jennings, that could have been a touchdown for the 49ers. Welcome back, Debo Samuel. 3 catches, 58 yards, including the huge 53-yard vertical pass down the field. 19.3-yard average is good. And Ayuk goes 2 for 48. He had the big third down catch. That was huge. And he also had the 38-yard vertical play. So he got targeted 5 times. He had 2 catches. So 49ers are spreading the wealth. George Kittle, 4 catches, 45 yards, 11.3 yards per catch. And he had the big touchdown, 15-yard touchdown. It was a fantastic throw. So you see the 49ers getting guys involved. Jordan Mason had 2 catches for 37 yards. That could have been more, but bad holding call. But they did a good job, though. It was pretty darn good for those guys getting out there and making some plays. And you like to see it. And David says 49ers may be working out some linebackers this week. Nice to see Bethune get some real game time this time. Yeah, I mean, the 49ers are just dealing with injuries. I don't know what's going to come out of Flanagan Fowles once I have a chance to hear what Kyle had to say. But, yeah, I mean, they might have to go out and poach some guys off practice squads. There are guys available out there that they could maybe go grab if they need to add players to the active roster. They might have to just sign some guys that are off the street. We'll see. That's something we're going to have to get into. I'm hoping, though, that Fred's injury is not significant. They were just being cautious, knowing they were playing with the lead. They felt like they could win without him potentially, but we'll see what happens. Steve-O, not sold on the 49ers defense, said, I think our D still sucks. If we don't get the lead, we won't win. Well, they're definitely built to play from in front. That is for sure. You just look at the pressure that they provide with those defensive tackles. That's more what they're built for. I don't think they suck. I think they're still working on some things. I think there's some players that still need to get a little bit better, and that's the whole challenge of it. When will they get better? Well, I'll tell you this. If they can stay somewhat healthy, I know right now that's a problem, just getting Hufanga back out there, that'll make a difference. You've seen Malik Mustafa get caught with dirty eyes and give up a touchdown to the Patriots. That will help having Hufanga back out there. You get Drake Greenlaw out there, and all of a sudden you got him and Fred rolling together, and then you've got Devondre Campbell now playing the run game in obvious run downs because now you're in your base set. That benefits the 49ers. Every time you add one of those players back in, it helps your football team. Pretty soon you're going to add Kalia Davis back in. That will help your football team. So I think that the defense has a ways to go. I don't think it's definitely fixed. I don't think this is they held them to 13, so this is just a done deal. But I thought it was a move in the right direction, a positive way to go. I thought they played better. I thought their coverages looked more tied together. It was a lot better compared to what it has been, less convoluted. But they still got work to do, that's for sure. And I don't think they suck, but I'm not out here going to say that they're world beaters either and they're ready to go. What's the word on Warner? DFF is a liability in the passing game. Do they trust Winters? I think when it comes to the injuries, I don't know how healthy Winters is yet. He had a great fill. It was funny. I was watching the game, and I said, when I saw the fill happen in the run game, he came up and hit Stevenson, and I thought, oh, my gosh. I thought it was DFF at first, and then I saw it was Winters, and I'm like, that makes sense. And Johnny Dell actually tweeted the same thing. I thought that was hilarious. But DFF is been a liability when it comes to the run game. And so if he's a liability in the passing game, they have to figure out something. The problem is you just lost Curtis Robinson. Tatum Bethune is not very good when it comes to pass defense right now in his young career. He'll get better. He's good at run stopping, though. So the 49ers have got some injuries now at the linebacker room that's making things a little bit more interesting. What's up, Josh? Josh in the house says Warner is fine. That is good news. We definitely want that. Josh says just getting your special teams is complete trash. I think Isaac Guerendo fumble was absolutely awful. And the 49ers need to make sure they have him be able to secure the football. I will say that's the first time he's put the ball on the ground, but I'm okay with them putting Debo back there. You just automatically start at the 30, so I don't have a real problem with that. But the special teams has been a problem over the first 4 weeks. Not so much in week one. I thought week one was a great performance for the 49ers special teams. Week two, block punt. Week three, it completely came off the rails. And then you had the fumble this time by Isaac Guerendo. So special teams has not put the 49ers defense in good situations. They've hurt the 49ers offense as well. And this one was bad because he gave the Patriots a short field. The Patriots scored 1 touchdown in this game, and it's off of a turnover by the special teams. So they definitely got to get better. I think this one is on the player and less on the scheme, but the scheme hasn't been great through the first 4 weeks, so it's going to have to prove to be consistent. before we can kind of let Brian Schneider and that group off the hook. What's up? GJ says Winters is an obvious upgrade over DFF. I agree. I think he is too. I think the ankle health and what happened down the stretch in training camp really kind of changed things up for him and made it more difficult. And, that's part of the problem, with injuries. They can kind of set you back and not get you that full opportunity that you need. Phil says, talk about Debo's 50-plus yard catch. It was just a run through. So Debo is running a vertical route, and the safety sits down on the crosser. This is what I was talking about a little bit with Ayuk, is you get the situation where the safety sitting in a like over that dig route, instead of having the deep vertical, the corner is kind of releasing Debo to that spot because he thinks he has a deep safety help. And that is one of the times that the safety guessed wrong. You can't guess against the 49ers. And Brock Purdy makes you pay for those. Back in the day, you could have gotten away with that. Jimmy Garoppolo might not have thrown that football. And if he did, he might have overthrown that football. Not Brock Purdy. He'll drop it in the bucket on you, and all of a sudden you have a 51-yard catch to Debo Samuel. So safeties are getting put into more difficult situations against the 49ers. Do I stay deep? Do I come up on those deep crossers? And that's going to allow the 49ers some opportunities. Brock's going to have to read those safeties and then find that the open route. The safety turns, and he's staying over the top on the vertical. Hit the crosser over the middle. If he drops down on it, let's take that vertical shot. I love to see it. And those are the things that Brock's doing in this offense, and that's going to make it easier for Kyle Shanahan's offense, throwing the football with some of the concepts that he runs, but also eventually running the football. Lighter boxes, teams have to go to two high safeties to consider worrying about that, and all of a sudden you're going to have open opportunities in the run game. Josh says Samo was playing lights out. He looked good. I was happy with his play. I thought he did a good job, and he's definitely nestled himself now as the defensive end number 4 for the 49ers, with Gross Matos being 3, him 4. And I liked Gross Matos rushing from the inside. I know he didn't actually get home, but I thought he added extra elements to what they could do with some of the stunts and athleticism. I liked it. David Campbell, I think we saw the last kick return from Garendo this year. I hope not. I know that he fumbled the football, but I hope that they just work on it at practice, because you make a mistake, you've got to be able to respond from a mistake. And it was a huge one. And luckily it didn't cost the 49ers more significantly than it did. It gave up a touchdown. But you've got a young player who's got a dynamic ability to return kicks. And I think that you just don't give up on him. You just start working on it a little bit more. I'm okay with them pulling him out of this game and putting Debo out there and just making sure, hey, we're not having any mess ups. We're not having any mistakes. But now it's time to rep him. Let's get him in practice. Let's take him through some of the drills, when it comes to fumbling, and just really work on keeping ball security as a main objective. And then you just work on it, because I don't think this early in the season with a young rookie, it's not too late to work on it and get him back in there. And I think that's what they should do. But I understand the sentiment, David. I mean, that would definitely, be one of the things that frustrates everybody. And Hugo's out. I'll catch you on the next one. Have fun, going bird hunting. Oh, good job. Oh, the next week, let's go bird hunting. I forgot. We got the Cardinals coming up. Cardinals, Seahawks, two birds in a row. Last year, I think it was like 5 in a row. Yeah, it's going to be great, Hugo G. Thanks for coming through. I appreciate it. So it's one of those things where you don't really want to give up on the young player yet, but I understand the sentiment, because we've just been burned as 49er fans by special teams errors so far this season. So let's look at this. Look at the sack numbers. We've talked about Sam, and Sam Okawanu and what he did in this football game. And, I thought he had a really good game. He did not get credited with a sack in this football game, but he did get the fumble. He caused the fumble in this game. But you look at the sack numbers. How about this? Bosa gets the 1 on the strip sack, which is really nice. Kevin Givens, 2.5 sacks. And, some of that is guys getting forced to him, but he was being a problem on the inside. I loved his lateral quickness, his ability to get upfield. 2.5 sacks by him. Malik Collins gets a sack and a half, and Malik Collins was nasty on the inside. That was really good to see. And then you get the sack from Evan Anderson, and Bosa pushes the pocket up, right? He gets Jacoby Brissett to step up. Brissett goes to throw the ball, and Evan Anderson knocks the ball away, right? Great understanding of where you're at and what you're supposed to do. And I thought we saw some good things from the young guy. I thought he held up a little bit better in the run game than we saw in the preseason. He was getting some movement. Of course, the all-22 film is going to tell it all. But I thought overall for his first reps in the NFL, I thought it was promising. I think he developed pretty well so far. And I think we can be optimistic. We'll see if that translates and that continues happening. Definitely would still rather have Jordan Elliott. But, you know, I thought overall that was pretty good for the 49ers. Jair Brown had 2 tackles for loss. I mean, he flew up on that screenplay. We got to give Jair Brown credit for that. I wasn't a huge fan of his coverage down on Jalen Polk. I wish he would have knocked that football away. You got to have better ball skills than that. But overall, Jair's attacking around the line of scrimmage was really good in this football game. And you got guys that are just making some plays. So it was good. 49ers getting red zone stops, goal line stops, the 4th down stop. It was overall, the defense was playing tough. They were playing physical. And that's ultimately what you need from this 49ers team is to keep going out there and competing. And David says it was akin to the butt fumble. Only thing we needed was Mark Sanchez calling this, right? For Mark Sanchez calling the butt fumble play. And, you know, you're right. That's one of the things, right? It's like an unforced error, and that's unfortunate. Now, a couple of things I wanted to go through because, you know, we always do the game preview show. So I want to talk about my Wow That's Bold predictions because, you know, last week it was kind of up in the air. So this week I had said that there was going to be a George Kittle touchdown. That happened. Brandon Ayuk touchdown did not happen. So Ayuk still no touchdown, but George Kittle gets it. I said this week on defense, the 49ers would generate 2 turnovers, and they generated 3 turnovers. So good job there. And then I had Leonard Floyd getting a sack. Leonard Floyd could not quite get home. Almost. He got his hands on the quarterback, couldn't get him down before he threw the football. He did have more of an impact on this game. And, you know, some of it probably didn't get seen as much on the TV copy. Will probably get seen more when people start doing their film breakdowns. If you want to watch my film breakdowns, they're going to be available over on Patreon. The first one will come out tomorrow. And then I kind of just put them out during the week. So if you guys want to check out that, if there are any certain plays you want me to break down, you guys can let me know and I'll do that. But close. Once again, one of the offensive ones right, one of the defensive ones right. Haven't been able to hit all 4 this season, and I haven't been willing to go special teams. Wow, that's bold yet. Just hasn't worked out because it's just scary when it gets to special teams right now. It's tough. Phil says, according to Chapman, special teams doesn't practice. They just talk. I have heard John Chapman say this, and I will say that there were days when I was at training camp where he's right. There was a lot of conversation, but I was also there on 2 occasions, and I think they were both Friday practices where the San Francisco 49ers rep special teams a lot and got a lot of reps. I was texting with Mark Adams, who I do the Red and Bold show on, and we talked about it. We actually timed how much time they were practicing and getting actual reps because we knew that was out there, and they did get reps. So is there times, like John said, that you're getting Coach Brian Snyder doing too much talking? Absolutely. Was there times that they repped it? Yes, and it was on Fridays, and so those were times that I watched it and watched it happen and counted the amount of reps and the amount of time that they spent. And in one practice, one of the Friday practices when I was talking to Mark, they dedicated close to 30 minutes to special teams in 2 different sections. And so it did happen. They do practice special teams, but probably not to the level that, you know, most people would expect, or even that, you know, younger levels do it. Mr. Court says Evan Anderson had a sack. Yeah, you get that ball out of the quarterback's hand and it counts as a sack. So it was a good job. David says Ayuk is getting 0 separation, at least on game replays they showed. Is it normal Brandon Ayuk from last year as far as separation? No, he did say last week that they're playing him differently. I think this week we knew that they were going to have Christian Gonzalez go travel with him, and he did for the most part. I think there were some times where Gonzalez wasn't around him. But right now, he doesn't look midseason form. He doesn't look as good as he did last year. And that could be that he didn't have the full offseason. He didn't have the training camp to kind of get reacclimated to this 49ers offense. So we'll see. But right now, is this the Ayuk that we saw last year? No. I do think the 3rd down catch where he went down and got the football, I think that was the Brandon Ayuk we're used to, making pivotal catches. He had the deep crosser. That was nice. And then the 3rd down conversion, that was great. But are we seeing the separation we saw last year? I don't think so. Do I think he'll get a little bit better? I'm sure hoping so. 49ers could definitely use, him getting a lot better. So we'll see. And, that's the thing. The 49ers keep creating turnovers. The problem is they're also giving up turnovers. I mean, they're just staying +1 when it comes to turnover differential because of some of the mistakes that they're making with the football. The good news is Jake Moody, he was perfect today on field goals. And so, he had the one miss, but he's, I think, 9 of 10 on the season. He's done a pretty good job. He did have the one miss last week, which is pivotal, and that's unfortunate. But I think he showed some pretty good consistency when it comes to kicking field goals this year. And ultimately, the 49ers need his consistency because, sometimes you just got to get the 3 when you have the opportunity. 49ers left some points on the board today, and I'm hoping that they'll keep getting better and better at it. Mr. Corey says, D. Winters gets a stop for no gain, so let's take him out right afterwards. Yeah, they went to out of their base 4-3 to nickel, and right now he's playing Sam linebacker. They had at the time Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles was playing Mike. They have Devondre Campbell playing Will. Mike and Will stay on the field for nickel packages, and so they pulled D. Winters off. And at that point in the game, you weren't getting a lot of 2 tight end sets. You weren't getting the 49ers in a lot of base sets. They were running their nickel. And when you're running sub packages, you decide who you want out there. And they rolled with the other 2 guys. I think a lot of that had to go with the fact they had to have DFF at Mike. He was the backup Mike for this football game. But you're right. That stop was nice. D. Winters pulled the trigger. He went downhill. He met him in the hole, and he lit him up, which was good to see. And it seems frustrating because he came off, but it's because they went to a sub package and went to the nickel, which means at that point they brought on Renardo Green. So we got to see more of Renardo Green in this game, more Malik Mustafa in this game. And so we'll see what that tape looks like. I think Green did a pretty good job. I didn't really hear him mentioned in a negative light. I thought that Malik Mustafa had good plays, bad plays, and he still got some work that needs to be done. And so the 49ers, we need Hufanga to come back. But overall, I mean, getting these guys reps, like Greg Olsen said in the broadcast, I thought he did a really good job saying, you're hoping that when you have these injuries, you can withstand the injuries. And then when your players get back, all your depth got more reps and they're more capable and ready in case you need them. And I think that's a good way to look at it. Mr. Corey says Jets missed a game-winning field goal against Denver. So Denver is 2-2, less likely to trade DJ Jones anytime soon. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's early in the season, right? I mean, I know the trade deadline is going to happen in November. I mean, they could easily lose the next 4 games and be, 2-6. But I think you've got a point. They're probably less likely to trade DJ Jones, and the 49ers will have to look for another avenue if they have to kind of bolster that defensive line. We'll see. Kalia Davis could be the bolstering they need, right? As long as Jordan Elliott's not too far gone as far as injury, you could have a steady rotation. Maybe you get, some of that impact from Kalia Davis coming back, and he could step into that role. But we'll see. DJ Jones would have been great to get back. It doesn't seem likely at this point. Key says, how was our D-line today, Ant? Thought it was really good. I thought they held up against the run game. They battled. They competed. They had penetration when they needed to. I thought overall they got after Jacoby Brissett. Now the 49ers blitzed close to 35% of the time in this game, which is out of the ordinary. But I like being the aggressor, and I thought the defensive line was. Malik Collins looked really good from the inside. Kevin Givens made some good plays. Bosa and Floyd brought pressure from the outside, even though they're working through chip blocks. They're working through double teams. But the interior part of the defensive line made up for that opportunities, and they did a good job. So I thought the defensive line played really well in this game. And that's what the 49ers need, consistent D-line play. And you could see it made it easier for the secondary. And all of a sudden now you had a defense that was more married together. Good pass rush with a combination of good coverage made it difficult for Jacoby Brissett and the Patriots to get key first down. So we'll see how the 49ers continue to play. It's going to get tougher as the season goes because you're going to play tougher teams. Next week, you're going to play Kyler Murray, who can escape the pocket. So now you got to worry about keeping him in the pocket and kind of changes your pass rush lanes. You can't be as aggressive against a more stationary quarterback like Jacoby Brissett with Kyler Murray because he can do all kinds of things with his legs and create outside the pocket, which makes it a little bit more difficult. David Campbell says, do you think Ayuk could still be a trade asset either this year or next? Him and Shanahan seem to have issues. Maybe if Pearsall looks like a baller when he returns. I think it all comes down to salary cap. And I know that Brandon Ayuk, some of his salary cap hits, if you move off on him right away, are huge. So I do think he's going to be a part of this organization, especially for the next couple years. But right now, Brandon Ayuk doesn't look like he's fully engaged in the 49ers game plan, the 49ers offense. And I think at some point it's going to click. I don't know when that is. I'm hoping it's going to be over the next 2 weeks. Arizona, Seattle, these are big pivotal games. 49ers need to win both of those football games. So I think they need Ayuk. So they're going to get this thing figured out, hopefully. But, I don't know if it's a possibility to trade him because of salary cap implications. Unfortunately, with that new deal and the way it's constructed, it's tough. And so I do think at some point Pearsall comes back and he'll start making some plays for this team as well. But I think Brandon Ayuk's here to stay, at least in the short term. He's going to be a part of this 49ers team, and they're going to need him to make some plays overall. So 49ers get a big-time win. It was a great win for the 49ers in this matchup. And, they played pretty well. They held the Patriots in check for most of the football game, didn't let any of their big stars really get going. Hunter Henry only had 2 catches for 12 yards. I thought that was a good play by them, keeping him from making, any real impact in this football game, and then keeping Ramondre Stevenson, at 3.3 yards per carry and only 43 yards in the game. Really phenomenal work by the San Francisco 49ers in this matchup. It was a good day. It was a good day for the 49ers to get a win. Now they got to build upon it and hopefully stay healthy for Arizona. Need a big divisional win next week. Hey, guys, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're listening on audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe. I really appreciate all the support. And, of course, this episode is brought to you by Bet Online. The game starts here. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, stay safe. And remember, the right way are always the 49ers way.